Welcome to the Barbell Strikes Back. I'm James McDermott, joined by Miguel Porter, and we only have a couple days of the year left. Miguel, how do you feel about that?
Good, good. I'm ready to wrap up this holiday season and, get back to things as usual, I guess you could
Yeah,
say.
yeah, I would say so. It's kind of, we're in that downtime where everyone's kind of like maybe not doing a whole lot. You're just lounging around, you're eating bad things, and I don't know. It's not enjoyable anymore. Like I'm ready for structure. I'm ready
Yeah,
for order to come back to things. I feel like it's dragged on a little bit too long, even though it's the same length of time. But I don't know. I feel like I would have been okay with like 3 days of this instead of
yeah,
however long
yeah.
we had.
Like a condensed little, okay, this is holiday week.
Yes. Yeah.
Christmas and New Year's are in the same week and it's just everyone figured out.
Well,
Yeah,
it has to probably do with when the holidays are falling during the week, right?
yeah,
If
definitely.
Christmas and New Year's were on a Saturday, Sunday, eh, um, and the Eves, that it'd be a whole different ball game. But
Yeah,
now we're on a Wednesday. It's kind of weird, you know?
yeah. Like I have friends who are teachers and, they get their winter break and it's a full, it's potentially like a full 2 weeks. Or, my sister just got back from her first year of school. So
Yeah.
she's back for about a month. Um, but for me,
Wow.
yeah, I'm working Tuesday, off Wednesday, working Thursday. So it's just everybody else's kind of holiday scheduling kind of throws off my regular schedule
Yeah.
because other than the one day off, things aren't really that different for me. So yeah.
It's going to be worse next year when I'm assuming Christmas will be on a Thursday, right? We're
Yeah, everything's supposed to be Thursday, but I don't know. It depends because then, because it's a Thursday, offices are more inclined to do like a Thanksgiving style because it'll
uh,
just be okay. If I'm giving you Thursday, I might as well give you Friday as well.
yeah.
So we'll see how that shakes out next year. But yeah,
Yeah.
Wednesday right in the middle is something.
See, I don't know. Like, would it be better to just if we all just agreed, okay, it's always going to be a Saturday Sunday combo? Is that better? Is that good for everybody? Because I know some people gain days. Like all of a sudden, if it's
Right.
on a Wednesday, you now have like a 6 day weekend or something like that. But for others, like yourself, it creates a lot of chaos.
Yeah, it depends. I think just for me, it's because of my job. It's I don't gain too much from it, but I have been in other jobs where yeah, a Wednesday is probably the best case scenario
Yeah.
because they won't because there's really depending on your job that week there isn't much activity going on. For my job, like we've talked about before, it's a little bit more hectic in this last week before the new year, so
Yeah.
I have to be there. But yeah, other jobs for sure, I'm sure middle of the week throwing everything off makes it so that you don't have to do anything at work for about 2 weeks.
Yeah. And you can really just kind of chill and enjoy it, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There's no perfect way. That maybe that's just why it keeps rotating. So eventually it'll get to a point where it does benefit Miguel a little
right.
more. And so everybody gets their turn every year, so to say.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, we're almost through it. Um, we had Christmas this past week. I had a nice Christmas. You had a nice Christmas, right?
yeah, yeah. It was a nice
We
day.
went into it off the 12 days of Albany CrossFit Barbell Club workout, a new tradition. How did that? You obviously you're still alive, so that's good. You survived it. You're still walking. I've seen you do movement since then. Describe your experience on this 12 days workout. We talked about it theoretically on the last discussion we had, but now you've done it.
Yeah, it was longer than I expected.
Yep.
Um, but in a way of the time was kind of flying by.
Hmm.
It didn't necessarily feel that long. Like I think before we started it, we talked about kind of benchmarks of you should be through this round by this time. and I was fairly certain I would be past that, and I was. But then that second half takes a lot longer with your
Yeah.
rest time, and yeah, so it doesn't seem like it doesn't feel like the longest workout, but we were doing it for a very long time.
Yeah, I originally said the goal 20 to 30 minutes, which I still kind of stand by this goal. Maybe it needs to shift a little bit, like a 25 to 35 time frame would be a better goal, and you scale for that. I will say you guys were sitting a lot,
Yeah,
sitting a lot. And I think some of you, it's hard. It's like when you see other people sitting, that it's hard to get back up again. So like you're all like feeding into each other's of, I don't want to get back up and do more. I think if this was in a CrossFit class, that workout I think gets done way faster.
right.
I think.
Agreed.
Um, I mean, what was your time? 42 something, right?
Yeah, I'm not even fully sure.
Yeah. So early 40s for you. I think the latest was Chris, early 50s. So now like we are way off of the
Yeah,
what the goal was. But like I said, so like Chris is a great example. I think if it's next door in a group of 12 people who are all doing a CrossFit workout, I think he does finish it way faster than 51. I think he sees you guys sitting down. He sits down. It's the end of the day. It's harder to get back up. And there's an excuse to not go fast and harder on it. What do you think about
right.
this?
Yeah, agreed. Because even though I was for sure cooked, like towards the latter end of that, I knew I could go faster, but I was in the lead. So
You were
like
in.
I knew I didn't have to. So like you're right, when we were all sitting down, I was like, I could get up right now, but that means everybody else gets up. And then I'm putting myself at risk where I can just wait a little bit longer and
Because
get my
the thing
full
is,
rest and then go.
you can wait a little bit longer, but when you get up, you're going to do more
Right,
than
exactly.
they're going to do. And I saw this happening. Like you're like over there just like weaving a spider's web of destruction for other people, sticking to your plan. Um, yeah, because you would get up and then you would finish almost nearly a full round, or at least it looked like it, or large chunks of it. Versus other people would get up, kind of like when you would get up, finish a movement or two, and then sit down. But then when they went to sit back down again, you would still be standing doing more work.
It was because I was changing how I was kind of chunking it up based on the
Mhm.
movement that was added. So I think everyone was kind of in a rhythm of, okay, we drop it here. And as we add in the next movement, I was like, okay, maybe I'll just do that new movement, get it out the way, take a little break, come
Yeah.
back, and then hold on a bit longer. And then I would say my 4-3-2-1 was always pretty much
Unbroken.
unbroken. Obviously, dropping after the strict press, but the cleans were all together, the
Yeah.
jerks, and then yeah, and then I wasn't even switching my hands for the snatch. So
I kind of feel like you have to do that last part unbroken.
yeah,
I mean, just for a reminder, it's 12 days of Christmas style workout where it's just like the song. Every new round, you add a new movement and then work your way backwards to where you started. So ours was one snatch, full snatch, two jerks, three full cleans, four strict press, five front squats, six. Wait, did I say strict press or push press?
you said strict press.
Okay, good, good. So five front squats, six push press, seven back squats, eight push jerks, nine hang power cleans,
Yep,
10 Penlay rows, 11
overhead squats.
overhead squats, and then 12 hang power snatches. Um, so yeah, it was a lot, but I think doing that chunk in the beginning, the 4-3-2-1, especially the 3-2-1, get that done compact,
Yeah,
helps a lot. Yeah. Can you imagine doing it RX 135, 95?
no. Well,
Yeah.
I simply the strict press. There
It
was
would
no
stop you.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the weight that I did was right at the ceiling. Maybe I could have gone 95, but I have to switch up the way that I do it in order to get those
Yeah.
strict presses in.
That was your first goal, 95. I think
Yeah.
you said that on the podcast. What made you change that goal as we were warming it up? Once we start to do those chunks of practicing them,
We did it
those movements all
on
together.
Monday, correct?
Yep.
Was that the day that I came in late? Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
right. That's why.
Okay. All right.
I was at work for much longer than I expected to be,
Got it.
doing a lot of work, and I almost didn't come. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yep. That is right. Yep. And then people were doubting, and I'm like, I think he's coming. I think he's coming. And you. Then we saw you. You popped in,
yeah, yeah,
and as soon as you pass the threshold, that's it. There's no going back. Are you glad you came in and did it?
yeah. Because I knew, just in the way that my body's been feeling lately, I need to move at least every other day.
Yeah.
And like even Christmas felt odd not doing anything. So I did like a couple ab mat sit ups and like push ups, like back and forth at the end of the day, just because, yeah, it felt weird to not move. And I knew
Yeah.
that if I missed Monday and went all the way till Friday, one, I there was a chance I wouldn't have come in on Friday because, once you miss
Yeah.
one day, it just compounds. But
Yeah.
yeah,
When was the last time you took like a full week off? Has that happened recently?
outside of vacation, I was actually thinking about this. I don't think I've missed barbell club not due to fully being out of town in a while.
Yeah. Even when you were doing the gymnastics, you still came in for some of barbell club,
Yeah,
and then left for gymnastics. Hey, that's good, consistent. And that's
right.
why it's so now to miss. Like, oh, it's Wednesday. I should be doing something.
Yeah.
If not the heavy lifting. Yeah. Well, we'll do it again next year. In seeing it happen, I think that I would, change the stimulus a little bit. I think 25 to 35 is reasonable. You know, I now that we've gotten it done, I think a harder look at scaling, even for the barbell club, definitely needs to happen. Because even though we scaled it way down, it was still maybe too. It was either too heavy or everyone's just doing the barbell club style, sitting down and not treating it like a metcon, treating it kind of like a strength workout. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there a way to figure that out? Does it need to be lighter, or do we need to get rid of the chairs and like I
It's
don't know.
funny that you say that because of today's workout, coaching Abby through it, it was every 3 minutes, 6 front rack reverse lunges,
Mhm.
and I was telling her the difference between CrossFit and barbell club, where she was almost ready after she did her first one to like go again, and I was like, no, like we're going on the 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about that. And I was telling her like the difference is we have the chairs over there, so we sit and we're good with sitting.
Yeah.
If you are just standing, you're like, I might as well just go again.
It's
I think
funny,
if we
like
did it in the triple, that our times would have been faster.
I was thinking about that, about since we're using the pound plates, but I had already written it on the board in the double. Do
Yeah,
you do think that had we done it next door, it would have been different?
100%.
Do you think if Jennifer was there, it also would have been different? Because I
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
feel like Jennifer would not have been like one, she wouldn't have been sucked into what you guys are doing. If anything, she'd be getting back up again, and you'd be like, "Oh crap, I need to get back up again."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, hey, maybe next year I write it on the portable board. We do it next door. Um, hopefully Jennifer will be able to be there. We invite John back. Can you imagine if John and Jennifer were both there and we did
Yeah,
that?
I mean, when you let me be the pace car, I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna pace.
Yeah, no one else claimed being the pace card. We have the chairs there, and it's just funny. Like now that you say it, like I do have the opposite problem in both rooms of one another.
Yeah.
Like so like if we're doing something Connie, it's hard to get you guys to go, and not rest too long. But when we're next door, it's hard to get them to sit still, with idle time and their thoughts and everything that start to creep up, you know. So it's just a funny phenomena, right?
Yeah.
And it's just it's funny how it's the mirror opposite in both rooms. But all right. Well, hey, I think it's cool to have traditions. We have a lot of them in the barbell club, and I think this is a nice add-on one. And seeing it go forward, I'm happy with the exercise selection and the order of them. I don't know if I would change any of that. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I think it was perfect, the way that it was. Because, I mean, there are times where, yeah, it is just drop it, but
Yep.
there are many places as well where I think all of us or most of us dropped it, where in your head you can go, okay, if we were to do this again, I could try and hold
Yeah.
on there. Um,
I tried to
yeah.
make it so that there were opportunities to hold onto it and it would make sense on where the barbell needs to go
Yeah.
with minimal extra effort. And I think it makes sense to put in like the middle of the workout, that like horrible bulk piece to alternate squats and pressing there.
Yeah.
Like
I think that was perfect.
what a waste it would be to, let's say, put a back squat for number 12 and put the hang power snatch in for rep number 7.
Yeah.
Like that's because now you got to change the grip, and now I don't know, just to seem as smooth of a workout.
Yeah.
And figuring out, all right, where does the pen lay row go? All right, it's going to be in its spot, which makes sense because then you could go into the next movement, which means after the hang power cleans, you could actually start your way right back down. You've already got it. It's all the same grip, but you're also not going to have to do that many of them. Like you only
Yeah.
did 30 pen lay rows overall, which is doable at the weights that we did. Um, Same thing with the overhead squat. You only have to do 22 of them. You only have to do it twice. Do they suck by the time you have to do them? Yeah. But the reason that one is away from the other squats and stuff is because of the hang power snatch. So now you
Yeah.
have an opportunity to do the 12 hang power snatches and go right into it. And of course, you're probably going to drop there. You've just done, what is that? 23 reps. You're probably going to
Yeah.
drop, and then now you can go into the pen lay row and then everything else. So yeah, I don't know. Is there like a movement? Like if you're like, all right, I could take this one out, put that one in. Is there anything that was missing?
I don't think so. Not for our sake.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, because we got squatting, we have pressing, we have every type of press, we have
every type of
every
squat,
type of squat, we have the full snatch, hang power snatches, full cleans, hang power cleans.
all the
Yeah, no.
jerks,
Yeah.
and we got the pen lay row, just cause. Yeah, like the only thing I was thinking, I'm like, all right, well, we kind of don't need deadlifts, in there. Like you're already
No.
pulling from the floor on the cleans. You're gonna have to deadlift it to get it to the hangs. Cool, that checks the deadlift box. The only other thing that I guess you could make an argument for would be like lunging, but it's like, all right,
Mm,
we probably don't
yeah.
need that. If you wanted to be fancy, you could make it 11 overhead lunges, or something like that. Since you're going to overhead squat on the snatch, but it's like I feel like we didn't need to. I think it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. That I mean, we've talked about it a couple times now. I would like to see Frank do it eventually with the
Mm.
135. I think he would crush that 135. What do you think after having experienced it your way? Just knowing Frank's strengths.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think he'd get any slower than any of us. So,
Yeah. Like that weight is a light weight for him. Like a really
right.
light on all those movements. It's just going to come down to just the lungs and how much you're
Hmm.
resting between doing chunks. So yeah, I think with a solid strategy, sub 40 for sure.
Yeah.
Sub 40. Doing it solo, I don't know. But if he was in a class of people and and there was like a different pacer, I think for sure sub 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll find out someday. Find out. So Christmas is done. We've done the 12 days of Albany Cross Barbell Club, our new tradition. We have done the Shankle complexes, which is another tradition. We've done the Albany CrossFit Barbell Club complex, snatch complex. That's another tradition that we have. I would say this year, all of those little benchmarks, maybe they were rough. They're rougher this year than other years. I don't know why. Um, I don't know. Do you know why? I'm trying to figure
It's
that out.
it's interesting doing them, and I like it, but kind of don't like that we only do them once a year.
Yeah,
But I mean, you can tell. I think the thing is going into it Friday, I knew I wasn't like feeling the best. Like sometimes you go into those things and like, oh, I'm going to PR.
yeah,
I definitely wasn't feeling that going into it, but I knew because we only do it once a year, I know that I've only gotten better since the last time I've done it.
yeah.
So it was going to be all right, I'm going to put these numbers on, even though I don't think I have it today. I do think
And
that I have it.
you got close. On the
Yeah.
regular Shanko complex, your PR is 100 and you had 105 on there, and you had a little battle with it, but you did get the first jerk, right? Did you get any jerks in
No,
105?
no.
No, okay. So you got the clean,
Hmm. Yeah.
but we missed the jerks.
And I'm, we haven't done like heavy clean and jerks in a
Yeah,
while. So, I was definitely happy with how, I guess, uncomfortable I am with straight up just you know, those movements right now.
yeah,
Um, but it was something that I know that if we were to go for it again in 2 weeks, that I could probably get those PRs. But I'm okay with not getting them this
yeah.
time around.
Yeah, it'll just be a bigger PR next time,
Yeah.
And we only do them once a year, and I've tried to like incorporate them in a training cycle before. Like we've done a Shankle training cycle before, where that's what we're doing on one of the days. Or remember when we did a cycle with the ACBC complex,
Yeah.
uh, which, I mean, it sounds like a good idea, but everyone isn't enjoying it the most. I wonder though if there's a way, like if we're like to keep them alive at points throughout the year with like warm up sets. Like let's say we're doing snatches from the floor. Well, your first like 1, 2, or 3 warm ups are the ACBC complex. If like so like let's say if I put down 40 for you, and I know you hate 40, so you want to go straight to 50. Well, maybe we can keep 40 and do the ACBC complex and really get warmed up, hit some extra positions, and then do 50 and then 60 if you want to, and then move on to just straight from the floor. Like I
Yeah.
wonder, or same thing with the Shankle. Like, hey, that's how we're gonna get. Like we've done this a bunch of times with other things. How can we get more out of our warm up sets, especially the really light ones that everyone wants to skip, and maybe you don't see that there's a lot of value in them in the first place. Well, maybe we can make them harder feeling or get more out of them with a 3 position complex, something like that, or a snatch and 2 overhead squats. Like we do that all the time, but maybe it's now it's just a Shanko complex, or this or that. What do you think?
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. If we were going to do ACBC complex, though, we'd have to cut down our bar warm up then.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my only. But
It,
no, I can see
it
that. I
is the
think that
bar
makes
one.
sense. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like we're gonna be doing hang lifts from the knees, right? So maybe a great warm up for that is a couple sets of the snatch Shanko complex. You're going to do some snatch bounces, you're going to do the pulls, and you're going to do a hang snatch in that. And then after doing that for 2 or 3 sets, you switch to doubles of just the hang snatch, and then you're trying to keep that speed, keep that shrug and that pop under. Good idea. Let's
Yeah.
try it out. Let's
Yeah.
let's try it out let's try it out this next training cycle. And then if we have a random Shankel max out, it's not all that weird either.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, I like that. I like I think it makes sense on having a common thread throughout the year,
Hmm.
where things aren't just only at those times, but they can also pop up other times in warm up forms.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we'll keep that. We'll keep that noted. Um, Speaking of the new year, what we're going into here, we're going to close out this year with the Penley total. So one more big benchmark and one more kind of tradition. Are you ready for that mentally?
Is that Friday or
That is
Monday?
Monday. Yeah.
Hmm.
So beginning of the week.
Yeah.
Now remember the thing about a total, you're not necessarily expected to PR your back squat, but you might PR it within the context of the total. The last time you did the total, you back squatted 130, but your PR is 138. Well, if you get 135, that's putting you along to PRing the total as well. So something to think about.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
coming up on Monday, and that'll be everyone's last chance to one PR the push press or the back squat, but also go heavy on just a solo clean. We don't really do that a whole lot
Hmm.
either on just straight up cleans. I can't remember if we did that this past year on purpose. Um, so yeah, we'll do that, and then we have the new year.
Yeah.
We'll finish out this weird week because we're not going to start the training cycle on Wednesday because the gym is closed, and then on Friday we're not just going to start at one of the days. Friday will be more of a pick your poison kind of a day. Like, what do you want to work on? Snatch, clean, jerk related. There'll be a bunch of options, and then Monday is the beginning of the new training cycle. Um, but now is also the time to start talking about goals. At some point, I need to call everybody and like, all right, what are you trying to do this year? Uh, did this past year turn out the way you wanted? Things like that. So for you, uh, your 2024 goals, did you meet all of them? Training wise and meet wise, and what you accomplished.
Um, I guess we've talked about it before on here, but I don't know. Maybe at the beginning of the year, I kind of had my goals for the year, but as the year progressed, I think my goals became more quarterly,
Mm-hmm.
and they definitely shifted throughout the year. Um, so I would say probably if I was going off of what I probably said last January in terms of like numbers or, you know, yeah, like totals and stuff like that, probably not. But I don't know. I think it shifted very quickly
Yeah.
after like the Arnold and our regional. So I don't know. I think I'm still on a good type of trend. Maybe I didn't hit like certain numbers that I thought I would at the beginning of last year, but I think training wise, I think I'm in a good spot.
Yeah, I think it's all foggy now, but I don't think many of you had number goals when we had this discussion last year leading into 2024. You may have,
Yeah.
or there's like numbers that were kind of like, we know we're close.
Hmm.
Like I can't remember when you full snatched 91, for example, or that happened this year, I think. So it's possible you might be 4 to 5 kilos plus on the snatch for the year, which is
Yeah.
pretty good. Which is pretty good. Most people would be happy to get 1 kilo, on the snatch. For the clean jerk, I don't know if you had a specific number goal for that, but now we know you can clean upwards of 120. So you've cleaned 117, I think 118, right?
Yeah.
We just didn't get the jerks on those, but I do think that will happen too as well. So I don't know. Do you remember if you had specific number goals for the big ones?
No, I don't think I would have had one for the clean and jerk. Um, I think probably 95 would have been the number that I would have gave for the snatch.
Uh huh.
Um, but clean and jerk, I really don't think so. I think I probably said the same thing last year, but I think I've already surpassed numbers wise, like what my goals for weightlifting,
Would have been.
like, yeah, like a while ago. So
Yeah.
The fact that it's interesting now too because we're all still improving. Like, I don't know, maybe it'd be different if we had like stagnant years and I was like, I would just want to add 1 kilo or something like that. But I
Yeah.
already know that the improvements are still coming. So it's weird to like give it a number because
Yeah.
I think it'll just get there or even past that.
And I think it's good to not give it a number because, I mean, let's say if you would have said, all right, 110 was my goal for 2024 or something like that, or 111 or 112, you're kind of putting a little ceiling on it,
Yeah.
you know. And then, I mean, we were swinging for the fences huh, at states, and we put bigger numbers on there because we also didn't know what to expect off of what you'd be able to
Yeah.
do just because of the given situation with your hammy. So it's just kind of nice just to not have anything be concrete, and then it allows you to look back at what you actually did accomplish and be like, you know what, I was still successful. Sometimes when you're goal setting, and I've had this with a lot of people I've helped goal setting before, and like if you put the number on it when you and then you don't achieve that specific thing, it all seems like a failure. You
Yeah.
know, like let's say if you were a person who you're trying to snatch 100 kilos, and your current PR is 70, and you snatch all the way up to 99 kilos, but I didn't snatch 100. I'm a bad person. My programming was awful. I hate my coach. I'm a failure. And like all of a sudden, like people do that. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think you do that at all. I don't think any of us really do that. But I've met some people that will definitely hold it against themselves for that 1 kilo. It wasn't perfect, Miguel,
Yeah.
and they have a really hard time at looking at all of the progress they did make getting up to that point. Do you look at your goals that way, where you're like, you know what, I did have this one thing in mind, but look at how far I came trying to get there?
Yeah. It's interesting. It's kind of like what we said for like the Shankel this year, where it's like I didn't PR, but I'm putting on weights on the bar or even my clean and jerks where I haven't connected with anything over, I don't know, what is it, like 112, 113 or something, whatever my PR is right now. I haven't connected with anything higher than
It's
that,
so, it's
but
so funny.
we're
I think your PR is 112, but I have all these other foggy numbers that I'm like, did he hit the jerk on that or not?
right, exactly. And that's kind of how I feel about it, where sure, that's what my number is technically for the PR, but we're already looking so far past that. And when the day is right, we're able to, like, I don't really care about getting the PRs anymore. Like, I'm not going for the 114s. Like, I get why that's important to, like, all right, don't match your PR, but go,
Yeah,
right above it. But at the same time, I don't want that number that's right above it to be the stopping point. So I'm okay
yeah,
with getting, let's say I end the day with something short of my PR, but I took an attempt that's 5 kilos over or something like that. So I'm totally cool with not hitting the numbers. It's more like what have I been willing to put on the bar and what do I really feel that I'm capable of on my best day? And all those things that I feel have gone up a lot more.
and they're very important. Like pushing yourself to put weights on the bar that I not that they affect you this way, but like they make you nervous or you're not sure about. You're going into the unknown versus playing it safe. Like, okay, well, my PR is 94, so I know I'm going to get into a big prolonged battle with 95 today, and may not even really believe it's going to happen, but that'll make me feel good. Versus like I'm going to put 97 on today, and we've never done that before, and that's a little bit different. And then I might fly right by 95 or I might land on it.
Hmm.
But like there's a difference between the two, right? In thought process. Like, okay, I know my ceiling is 95 because I haven't done it yet. I know that's the immediate ceiling. So it's okay if I shoot for that and kind of like do a couple half-hearted attempts or pulls and move on versus like, you know what? Let's put on 100 today. Let's just see
Yeah.
what happens. There's a whole different your mindset as an athlete completely changes, right? And the way you
Yeah.
approach any weights under that, let's say you're having a tough warm up in the back room and you're going to open at 92. You're like, I'm gonna go crush 92. Like just it's a whole different mindset. Is
Yeah.
that true for you?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I'm okay with kind of like, because it's odd to say, but let's say if the goal is, all right, my a new PR would be 96, and I'm doing my jumps and I get to 95, and I go, I'm gonna snatch 95 because the way I'm feeling today, 96 wouldn't make sense to go for, or like going 94 to then go 96 wouldn't really make sense. I feel good enough today that I think I can hit this 95 and then go 5 kilo jump, 4 or 3 kilo jump, not even worry about the 96. Like the 96 isn't today. Technically, that's the
Yeah.
number that would cause it to be a PR. But with the way that I'm feeling today, because I don't like have numbers that I'm going for, I should just go off of how I feel. And I think I can go way above that.
Yeah. You have to learn what to do. Like no one can tell you what to do that, or
Yeah.
no one can they can give you advice, but like you have to learn how to do that. And it's by doing it often and and knowing yourself as an athlete, knowing when it's time, I need to make an adjustment right now. We were talking about this in the last show. How do you auto regulate? It's a skill all on its own, and that's not something that you're going to figure out within the first year or two of lifting, because like you're like, all right, I have to just figure out this snatch thing. Like where do my hands go? Where do my feet go? And some of us, including yourself, are still figuring that out as we go. It
Yeah.
changes. It's an evolving animal, but it just means that you're thinking about it often and you're making the adjustments when they need to be made. All right, you know what? It's just not feeling right to have my hands with my pointer fingers on the rings. I'm going to go middle finger. I'm going to move my hands in a little bit. All right, that feels good for today. It's like there is no like written textbook on like this is Miguel's technique. His hands must go here to equal success every single lift.
Yeah.
You know, but it took Miguel a long time and a lot of trial and error to figure that out, and then to be smart enough athletically to make that adjustment when it needs to be made. But when you're a beginner coming in, you should just put your hands in the same spot every single time. You know, it you don't have enough reps to figure that out yet.
Yeah.
So it's a fun thing when you get to it. Or at least I'm assuming it's fun. Is it a constant battle, frustrating type of thing with yourself, or is it a fun thing? Be like, you know what? What's my snatch like in 2025?
Um, it's not fun. I don't think it's fun, but it's
Yeah,
not that frustrating. It's kind of like, it's just odd because sometimes things feel uncomfortable and you're like, I know it's uncomfortable, but you know, you know,
yeah. Well, you just went through that with the Shanko complex, right? On one of those, what were you trying to figure out something with? Was it a clean or a snatch?
with the snatch, yeah, on how
What was it?
exactly I was gonna do the pulls, whether I was more of like a knee bend or a hinge.
Got it. Yep. Going from the hip to the knee in the hang, was it going to be more squatty or more forward hingy? What did
Yeah.
you decide on?
I think we ended with more of a hinge, and that definitely made things look more natural.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder what was leading you to the squatty one.
Um,
Just lack of practice for a bit,
yeah, it was probably that. And I have to think on how
and the 12 days workout. Just,
that
I mean,
too.
those reps are not the same reps for those
Yeah.
hang power snatches. You know, even the way you were snatching, you were doing close grip snatching during that workout
Yeah. And that's how I would typically do CrossFit snatching, I would say,
with a
is to
clean
bump
grip.
my, not a full clean grip, but it's definitely more narrow than I
Uh,
would. Yeah.
I saw you and Schaff were doing. Who did it first? And was the other person?
I mean,
Did you see Schaff do it and then you did it?
no, that was my plan because I was like, I'm not gonna miss a snatch at, what was I doing?
80,
80?
80
Yeah.
pounds.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna miss it, so I can do. And that's also kind of how I lift as well, where I'm like, I can, no matter what I'm doing, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't dropping it at all. I was just bringing it down from the split jerks and going straight into it. So
So wherever your hands were for the split jerk is where we were
yeah,
taking a
yeah.
snatch kind of a deal. Uh, would it have? I know we've already talked about the complex. I still have another question. Had you missed the snatch, how would that have? How would you have reacted to that? Would that have just totally ruined your whole everything, your
Oh, I
flow?
probably would have laughed for a very long time.
Okay.
Every time I did it, I was like, there's a chance. There's a chance you make contact in a weird spot
Yeah.
and you miss it. And yeah,
You still have to place it well because with 80, you could just totally
yeah.
whiff where your hips or anything. Yeah, I was
Because
wondering about
it's
that. Like
making
if he
contact.
misses a snatch, is it
Yeah,
gonna?
it's
Because you could also miss a snatch and be like, you know what? I need to leave the room for a minute, like, or I'm totally
exactly.
pissed now, and you rage through the next round. It would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, the horrible part about that workout is you have to take it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks too. Okay, so the 2024, a lot of progress made. You know, I haven't done this yet. It's just uh maybe I can add that to one of my coaching goals. It would be like cool to kind of like if there was a way. I guess Wodify, yeah, Wodify should do it to track to be like, oh look, like this is where your PR was at the beginning of the year. This is where it was at the end of the year. Like with some things, you start to lose track, especially as like people start PR on multiple things. It's like, all right, well, how many kilos did you go up on the hang snatch or the hips or the this or the that? Like it all just kind of gets in the wash. But Wodify should actually have that. I should look into seeing if there's a way to print out like a report because that would be cool to know.
Yeah.
But good progress on 2025. 2020 or 2024, 2025. What goals do you have here going into it? Now, we were talking before. We kind of quasi broke them up into three sections, although it's okay if none of them fit, just for organizing things. We have coaching goals, athletic goals, or health goals, and then like personal, non maybe gym related goals. Where do you want to start?
I guess we can start coaching.
Okay, I'll go first. I have very a few coaching goals. My first coaching goal is just timeline related. Since I mean, it was one of the things I got dinged for sure on the level 4, which it's like a cascading effect. If you don't do this, you kind of can't do that.
Hmm.
So the fact that my one class was over by so much, that cannot happen again. So that is like my ultimate coaching goal is to just be nailing the timeline. We start on time, we finish on time. And I always start on time. There's very few reasons why I wouldn't start on time. Even when people are like, well, hey, such and such isn't here yet. That's I can't control that.
Hmm.
You're here now. So we're gonna start now. But the finishing on time has become a problem for sure. Uh, we have a very casual flow at the gym, whether I'm blue in the face or not. So one thing that I'm going to do for that is I'm going to stop waiting for people. Like, and like it has to be real. Hey, the workout starts in 3 minutes. That means I'm hitting 3, 2, and then. But the thing is, I have to say 3, 2, 1 and start the timer.
Yep.
Like, like you try to do so much for people, Miguel. You try to, but if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And the thing is, that doesn't, I mean, not to be selfish, but that doesn't do me any favors in the long run if I'm not hardened to just do that, you know, or to be real with the timeline. Or like, hey, uh, get your rowers down, and then when everyone's there, we're going to start the warm up, whatever. But there's still one person who's dilly dallying. Like, no, everyone who's on the rower, the warm up starts now. And I'll give an example. The other day, we were doing cleans. I can't remember what the workout was in class. We were doing cleans. I think it was cleans and pull ups. Yeah, what was that workout? Cleans and pull ups were in the workout. I said, all right, everybody, put your first warm up weight on the bar, and then we're going to do this set together. Everyone makes moves. Everyone loads their bars. One person at the back of the room, when I said, okay, put weight on your bar, go, they went to the water fountain to refill their water bottle. So now we are in an impasse here. Do I wait for them now to do that, go to the back of the room, put down the water bottle, come on up, get the weights? Everybody else is locked and loaded. So I just said, okay, put your hands on the bar. Let me see your start position as they're walking back into the room. I'm like, all right, when I say go, hit the next clean. They hit the clean. All right, now do two more on your own. And then while we're in the start position, they start sprinting from the back of the room to the front to get their plates and get back there and I'm like, that's not a me problem, right? That's not a me problem.
No, I think as well as I think that's another thing with trying out different gyms, and whether they be CrossFit or not, a lot of places are even more strict where it's like you will get left 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't see any problem with that.
I guess that's a good term for it. Like I have to be okay with leaving people, and I'm normally not. Because like you want to help everybody, you know. But the thing is, like, what I have to reconcile in my brain is that by waiting another however long it's going to take to get that bar loaded, it's at the expense of myself and everyone else in the room.
Yeah.
Everyone else did exactly what was asked. I don't know why filling the water bottle now is even a thing. I don't know. Like it literally doesn't make any sense. Everyone agreed. Yeah, let's put weight on the bar. We're working on the clean right now. So I don't know what happened there, other than the fact that I've maybe allowed it, Miguel, to happen for too long, and this is just how we do things now. It's just very chill, very relaxed. I do take responsibility that it could be drawn back to me at some point.
I think too is I don't dare I say I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like I think sometimes, like you said, sometimes it's our feeling of I don't want to leave someone, but also part of that like contract now where we're like the workout's starting in this time. Like if you need to use the bathroom or get water during anything else, go ahead and do that. But the reality is things are still going to there shouldn't be an expectation that anyone will wait for you ever. If you have to step out to run to the bathroom while we're doing our general warm up at the beginning, then yeah, but you know that things are continuing in your absence.
Yeah.
So I really don't think it's that big of a deal I mean, people will then do their thing where, oh, okay, everyone's ahead of me. I now have to catch up. And again, that's kind of okay. Like that has to be fine.
Yeah. And being fine with all of it. Like, okay, you chose to leave the room before we were going to do the practice round because you're trying to get out of doing the practice round. And this is your way of like kind of, having that be a reality. Like, okay, well then I have to be okay as the coach on like, okay, you're making this decision. I've already told you the value of the practice round and why we're doing it. So now when you stop making progress, you were the one that made that decision. But see, the thing is, Miguel, they'll always still blame you, but that's okay. That's okay. You just
there really is no winning. So
no, you cannot win. You cannot win. So that's my goal is I guess I don't want to say my goal is to leave people behind. My goal is to just like run the class the way I know and want it to be ran in the first place, and not allow the inmates of the asylum to overtake the place. Like no, I said we're doing this, so we're going to do this right now, and not. And even when someone else in the peanut gallery is like, well, what about he should have been here? Like, because that happens too. People's like, oh, well, what about Miguel? He's not back for from the bathroom break yet. I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. Like, it's like the world is ending. We're about to close the door. It's that movie 2012. What about Miguel? He should have got here. He should have got here. That door needs to close.
Yeah.
So yes.
Now, and it's to relate it to like my job as well. For like money movement and stuff, like we need client approvals, and you'll send an email at 3 p.m. and I'm gonna leave there at 5. But people are like, but what if the client responds at 5:02? Okay, that's after 5. What if they
Yeah.
respond at 7:30 p.m.? Like, and that happens all the time where I'm like, yeah, I could have stayed and they responded at 5:10. That's not too unreasonable. But also, there have been so many times where they don't respond until 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. And I'm not going to stay online hoping that
No,
that comes in.
no, it's
So, yeah,
unrealistic.
it's the same. Like, oh, that person could be running back in 10 seconds, or they could be gone for all you know. Like,
Yeah.
it really doesn't make sense to wait.
Yeah, especially like I mean, all right. I don't know if you're having an episode in the bathroom right now. The Chipotle's coming back up. This is going to be longer than the 2 or 3 minute breaks. Now, would it be appreciated if, hey, if someone, it's never happened. If someone came with me and they're like, I am about to shit my brains out right now, and I will not be returning. I'd be like, thank you, thank you for telling
Yeah.
me. And this is just between me and you, but like, I would respect it. I would be like, wow, thank you. All right, we will not be waiting for you. Um, but yes, so that's that. I guess I just put both of my coaching goals kind of like for the immediate future in the same thing on I guess maintaining the timeline by moving on when it's time to move on instead of I mean leaving behind sounds so harsh
Yeah.
still, but so that's all right. That's one of my coaching goals. How about you?
Um, let's see. They're all kind of related. So the first one is like more quote unquote reps, which is just coaching more classes.
Mhm.
Which is at this year, obviously, we've made the biggest jump in that of like
Yeah,
owning a class and then, doing it by myself week to week to week. Um, which like I almost forgot about, but this was the first year that we've done that.
that's true.
Um,
Yeah.
so just more of that. And through that, um, kind of like developing like my own signature style, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
Um, where I was thinking about this because of like our coaching development classes, like me, Shaf, and Josh kind of probably have like a branch off of your coaching style.
Yeah.
But within that, we all have our own branches where we all like our own things and do things our own way off of the same kind of core. Um, but kind of like deep dive into like what my signature is, I guess. Um, like if I see a workout and I go, we're doing these movements, what is the warm up that I would like the class to do? Um, and I
Yeah.
that's kind of like the more reps thing as well, where um, I'm looking at cap and I'm doing something completely opposite of what they've planned. And throughout time, I've been getting better and better at doing that. Um, sometimes I take pieces, sometimes I scrap the entire thing. Um, and just kind of feeling more confident through doing it more and being more confident with, okay, I know that this warm up will take me this amount of time and kind of developing that more.
Mhm.
So, yeah, they're all essentially on that, just building my coaching style in confidence throughout this next year.
I think that's a great goal. And I just did a podcast not too long ago talking about my experience for the level four through best hour of their day. And one of the things I mentioned is that like kind of like in a backwards way, for my own development, when I watch you guys' classes and you guys are like doing things that need improvement upon, I should also think about like, are they doing that because that's the way I do it too? Like in like a reverse, like where did this come from? Like, is
Yeah.
there like, all right, Miguel's not giving any cues on this. That's because I never do. Like, so like because like you said, I'm the jumping point for some to some extent. So like it's kind of forced me to like look at things like okay, I need to make sure that I'm doing things as often as possible as if there was someone who was going to copy it too.
Yeah.
Um, and that's I mean partly like not being able to demo things for so long has like been a frustrating part of that because like okay, I'm watching a class with Shaf, it's like, all right, or you or Josh, are they not demoing because I'm not demoing? But the reason I'm not demoing is because I just can't do it. But I would
Mhm.
still expect you to do it because you were able bodied to be able to do it,
Right.
you know? Or is the reason Miguel having someone else demo this because I have Josh demo things all the time? But the reason I'm having Josh demo is because he is my body. He is my body
Yeah.
during this class. So it's like, it's just thinking about things that way, you know. It's like, okay, we should fix that, you know, like type of a deal.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say your style is right now? Like if you're trying to develop this Miguel style.
I don't know. They're
What
like
even is the style? How do you describe a coaching style?
it well, one, like how I talk. Like Josh is he's a lot more animated on a Saturday than like I am.
Uh-huh.
But I would say it's interesting. Josh's Saturday sounds like how I am when I'm pseudo coaching barbell club.
Uh-huh.
Just
Like
like
professional and polished.
well, no, it's it's more yelly.
Oh, okay, Yelly.
Whereas when I do like my Sunday mornings or even when I did Saturdays, it's a lot more just like, we're going through, we're doing our thing, where Josh
Mm-hmm.
is like the claps and the yells and like really getting people going. And I'm kind of
Uh-huh.
similar when I do barbell club, but I guess my style, things that I guess for example would be like Rocky Tabata, like something that I want to like throw in that I just love. It's really like, what do I like that
Yeah.
I like to see other people doing, and I think they get a lot out of it.
Like little signatures.
Right. Yeah.
Like you might come in on a Sunday on a random day, and I might be like, you know, guys, the warm up is going to be a mini Cindy. We're gonna do 5 minutes of Cindy, or 8 minutes of Cindy, or ten
Yeah,
minutes of Cindy.
exactly.
Like I love to do that because I think it's a great warm up, you know, and we get to like say hello to a friend, a workout, you know, kind of. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. And just like I always ask people, like when I'm telling them what the next workout is or something like that, like, what do you want to see? And is it possible, because like I only touch Sundays, but because it's a Sunday, can I just change around this whole thing to make it so that, okay, if you want more squatting movements, maybe I can change up the warm up to add these squatting movements in if you feel like you're not seeing that enough throughout the week. Or, you know, like
Yeah.
today I did an AMRAP instead of like the double under practice. So I had like some walking lunges, front rack, and other things that I just threw in that I'm like, I think this will be a good kind of partner to the strength piece that the workout is today.
I think that's a great thing because like today we don't put the warm up or anything else, the lesson plan on the board. We only put the workout. There
Yeah.
are gyms out there where the entire lesson plan is on the board. I I, I would never want to do that
Yeah.
because they're no one else needs to be reading that but us, you know. So and then also at times we've done that a little bit when you change something, people are like, well, no,
Yeah.
this is all you need to know that we're doing. How is anyone supposed to know? How is Abby supposed to know to have a jump rope today? You know, and now she's got to go get one out to her
Yeah.
car or upstairs, and that takes time. So I think that's I think that's great. Those are great changes and great little things to start to kind of incorporate.
And because I do Saturdays now, I take little looks at what that kind of what Cap has for those workouts, and then I see how Josh also changes them. Like yesterday was all the rowing that we had, but it was like, also we're gonna do ring muscle ups. And I was like, I feel like it wouldn't make sense to do that. And we didn't. But we did a warm up that I thought made sense, and we had like some drop ins yesterday that everything went like, oh, that was a perfect way to deal with that. Because if we just did minutes and minutes of not even like ring muscle up progression, it was kind of just like do ring muscle ups. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how that would have worked out with the
Was
class.
that in the lesson plan or Josh added that?
The ring muscle ups were in the lesson plan.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got
Yeah.
it.
And I was asking him, and he was like, yeah, no way. just like time wise and also setting up the room. And we had, I think, 11 people yesterday. So
So what did
yeah,
he do instead? Or he just practiced the progression with
we
everyone?
did more rowing instead, actually.
Okay. He nixed the ring muscle ups.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
So we did like the full rolling game and stuff like that that I think worked well, especially for like post holiday Saturday morning class. I think it worked
Yeah.
like perfectly.
Yeah, I think there is no right or wrong answer. I think they both work. Like reading the room. It's Saturday after the Christmas holiday. Like no one is 9 a.m. No one's wanting to even do this right now or thinking about it. They just thought it was going to be a nice long cardio workout. Make it fun. Do the games. Practice extra rowing. You can really coach the heck out of rowing
Yeah.
still and get a lot of good out of that, especially with the newer people or the drop in. Um, or you could look at it the other way, like, okay, you know what? Uh, this is gonna overextend me a little bit. This is gonna be, I'm gonna challenge myself this way, and you could do that too. Maybe if today was only lunging, you'd be like, you know what, like, and 12 people are signed up. I'm gonna force myself to just for funsies go over muscle up progression as
Yeah.
part of the warm up.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can, especially if you only have one class a week. When are you ever going to be able to do it too? You know.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think, and there's also a million other ways you could branch out throughout all of that. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it, and I think that makes sense the way Josh did it on that day.
Yeah.
And the cap
So,
programming isn't always going to work 100%. It's only
yeah.
like 70% ready. You have to make it whole yourself.
Yeah. And I think with my like progression as a coach as well, taking the lesson plan and kind of making it my own, kind of for my own benefit as well, really helps. So, like
Yep.
you're saying, like, oh, I feel like I haven't worked on the muscle up progression in a while. I can just add that in as a piece and
Yep.
see how I feel coaching that. Or, oh, how would I do, like you had us do the 5x5 back squat? How would I do that today? All right,
Yeah.
there's one person. How would I coach it with one person versus five or six or 10 or 12? Um, and yeah, that's kind of just what I want to develop this year. And I think it'll come as I do it more. I think I kind of got lucky in starting with Saturdays and then switching to Sundays
Hmm.
because Sundays now I feel more free and like more comfortable coaching to kind of do my own thing. Whereas
Yeah.
Saturdays, I think just in the way that the workouts are kind of laid out sometimes as well, that Saturdays kind of had a little bit more structure for me when I started. And now Sundays, I kind of feel more free to take it and do whatever.
Yeah. And Sundays within the programming, they always kind of seem like, yeah, this is what you're going to throw in on Sunday.
Right.
Like this workout's not going to pop up midweek. Like we have other bigger targets we're trying to hit. This is like we need something to do on Sunday, kind of a
Hmm.
workout. So yeah, I think that makes sense. Um, my 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 only other coaching goal is just around lesson planning, on just not relying on the cap one and like changing it like in my head, and then going forward, just like making a whole new kind of what you're doing, a whole new lesson plan. And I would like to be doing lesson planning every single day. That's like kind of like one of my, like I have these like of my goals. Some of them are like daily non-negotiable goals that like it's going to get done every single day. There is no way around it. So lesson planning on going to .com where there is no lesson plan. It's just the
Hmm.
workout of the day, and lesson planning those workouts, and then also on days that I'm coaching, lesson plan those. And it doesn't take long to put down like a rough timeline of things, but just forcing myself to do that more often instead of relying on like, well, we just get it on cap and I'm
Yeah.
busy, so let me look at that and okay, that's what we're doing. Cool, cool, cool. But then, all right, let me get rid of this, but not adjusting the timeline for that. And now things kind of get hairy. So that kind of goes back into my other goal of like making sure it starts and finishes on time. That's the first thing that we're trying to get done, and lesson planning it from scratch all on my own. Because then now I can ensure that we're going to finish on time by employing some things on, like, okay, uh, if the work, no matter what the workout is, I want to leave 10 or 12 or 15 minutes at the end of class. Like I want to leave that time, which means the start time of the workout needs to be moved up. Here's my drop dead start time. I have to start by this time to get to there. And now everything else kind of falls in the line on how much time do I have left for the progression of this movement, that movement, blah, blah, blah. And it
Right.
won't always be perfect where that can happen if it's a longer workout, but I want to make that happen as more frequently as possible. And then I can start to move it back if I want to start making progressions longer. Okay, now my goal is just finding the right progression that I want to use and truncating it enough so it can be as efficient as possible. Because
Yeah.
that's why I lost some time and that on one of the classes is that I spent so long teaching the progression for the first movement, way longer than I wanted to. I only had like 6 minutes allotted for it in the actual lesson plan. But in that environment, you're like, well, I have to make sure everything is being seen and I have to take my time and get to all 11 athletes or 12 athletes. I went way slower. So what I need to do is truncate it down and feel like I'm being effective faster, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. And that way, I'm not get in a situation where, like, oh boy, it's been 15 minutes and I'm still on movement number one.
Yep.
Crap. You know, so that those are my two main coaching goals. And I think that'd be a great topic to maybe work on as a group for our first coaches meeting in January. How about lesson planning on, like, let's get a bunch of workouts, write them on the board. All right, let's build this hour. What do we think? How do we want this to
Yeah.
go? Do you think that'd
And
be helpful?
I think that's my next kind of grouping of goals for coaching too. Um, so one is like be ready for anything. Um,
Yeah.
I was actually talking to some people on that really big Sunday that happened. And some were talking about like the hopper,
Yeah.
like that would like bringing that back. And I thought about it and I was like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. But then I was like, then I need to be ready for anything. And I was like, unless I manipulate these ping pong balls and only put like 3 options in there just over and over again. But yeah, I kind of go back to when Josh was getting ready for his level 2 and kind of the practice that we were going through with him to get ready for that. So yeah, I have like be ready for everything and then level 2 question mark for this year.
Yeah.
I think just time wise, with all the weddings and stuff I have this next year, it would just time wise would just have to work out to do it. But I
Mhm.
think, yeah, I'd be comfortable doing it this year.
Yeah, I think you've had your level one for what, 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years now.
And that's so this is around the time, especially now that you have ownership of the class and stuff. This is around the time when you want to be thinking about the level two.
Yeah.
2 to 3 years. 3 kind of seems a little bit on the longer side. It's like so yeah, this is around the time. For the hopper, yeah. I mean, the nice thing about that is like myself, Pat, Murph, we've coached all those workouts so many times. So it's like
Hmm.
you already know, like, if Nancy comes up, I know my lesson plan for that.
Right.
So like so what would be a cool exercise for you would be to write down all those workouts that are in there and make a lesson plan for all of them.
Right. Exactly.
And because it doesn't have to change every time. You might decide on a day that you're doing grace to insert a heavy day on that too, a heavy cleansure, or not. It could be
Hmm.
completely different. Like, so you can have little variances in them, but for the most part, you have just in your head your Helen lesson plan, your Fran lesson plan, your this, your that, and then you just move forward with that and make adjustments based on the group too. So that would be a cool exercise for you to do. Would be to maybe all the benchmark workouts, write a lesson plan for them.
Yeah.
On like what you would do for those days, and then it just comes down to remembering, which is pretty easy because most of them are the same time component. Like you could even just look at a workout like let's say Isabel, and okay, I'm going to allot 10 minutes for that. So I should start the workout here, and I'm going to spend this long practicing the snatch and do all these things. Like it kind of, I mean, it doesn't write itself, but like if you know what's going on and you know the stimulus, you can figure that out really, really quickly.
Yeah.
So typically when I'm writing the workout on the board, people are like, "What? How do you remember what that workout is?" I've written this workout a million times.
Yeah.
But also, like, I'm like figuring out, okay, here's where we're going first for the general warm up. Like, it's almost like when when you're reading a book, but you're not really reading a book, you're thinking about something else that happened in your day, and you're just kind of like doing both
Yeah.
at the same time. You're kind of doing that. You're writing it on the board while you're like, here's what we're doing for the general warm up. Here's what we're going to do right after that, or I'm going to have them take a run for the end of the general warm up. And then, okay, what are we going to do with that barbell? Okay, here we go. Because you know all the progressions too in
Yeah.
your head, or you know a bunch of them. So that'd be a cool exercise for you. And if you look at Sunday workouts and you're like, God, that doesn't even motivate me to come in to coach it, just let me know.
Mhm.
If you're like, hey, I saw this cool workout, I'd like to do it. The only thing that I would ask, send me a lesson plan. Like show me
Right.
that you prepared. Show me that you prepared for it, and we can change the Sunday workout to whatever you want it to be, as often as you want. Does that help?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
And if that's a hopper day, cool. I'm fine with a hopper day. If it's a hopper day, though, we should advertise it though. Like, hey, we're busting
Yeah.
out the
Yeah.
hopper on Sunday to get people out there. Cool. Well, those are all my coaching goals. Did we touch upon all of yours?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Athletic goals. We've kind of talked about this a little bit. I feel here and there because, like, as I was writing them down, I'm like, I feel like I've mentioned this already, so I'll go quick through mine. But what are some of your athletic goals?
Yeah. Um. So number one that I had written down was take steps to feel healthy.
Ooh,
Um.
I like that.
So I think the biggest thing with me, well, one, like competitions, going into competitions healthy. Um, it's rare, but it has happened a few times where I feel like, wow, I feel really good. Beyond like hamstring pull and like just overall
Yeah.
like body feels good. Um,
Is that what you mean by
and
healthy? Like aches and pains, or just like you're not eating enough, or you're starved, or you're eating too much, or junk food?
well, that's the thing. It's all really connected for me, at least. Like
Yeah.
I know when my body feels a little bit more achy, but I was cutting weight. So, my calories are down and I feel like I'm not replenishing the body as I'm taking away. Um, and then I know what foods make me feel like what.
Yeah.
So stop doing that to myself,
Yeah.
you know? And all of these goals I've started towards kind of the end of this year. Um, and I've felt the difference already, which is kind of annoying when you're like, all right, I'll try out this thing and then it works. So you have to continue doing the thing. Um,
It's almost like admitting to yourself that yourself was right,
yeah.
but you didn't want to listen to yourself, and now you have to look in the mirror and be like, "You were right, Miguel," kind of a
Like
deal.
when a week passes and the only foods that I've eaten are things that I've personally cooked myself, and I go at the end of the week and I go, how do I feel? How do I look? Like just body, like bloating and like all that stuff. And I'm like, wow, this has been a great week. My mood was better. All of this in energy levels. And I have to go, oh, so I should continue doing this.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the biggest thing. So healthy in terms of aches and pains, but really just what it takes. Like I know the steps now. I've been doing this long enough that I know, all right, you feel good when you stretch and foam roll before bed. Um, you feel better when your last meal is at this time instead of way later or way before, and sleep
Late
and all of
meals
that.
suck.
Yeah.
They're
But
the
yeah, so that's kind of like the biggest one. Um, the next ones are like, well, the next one is be well rounded, which I've also been working on. Just getting back into like a routine of hitting at least one CrossFit class. a
Hmm.
week, and then doing like some other stuff outside as well. And then
Are you going to keep that up? Are you going to keep hitting
I
across
think
the
so.
class?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been nice. Um, the next ones are kind of contradictions, but not really. Have fun and get competitive.
Okay. Yeah, I could
Um,
see where there's a conflict. Not all the time, but
right.
sometimes there could be.
Like, I really didn't want to do Saturday's workout. And I was telling Chris that part of the reason that I didn't like the workout because it was all rowing is because it's partially ego, where I believe that I'm so much better than everyone else, and not in a way of like to knock anyone down. I just That's just the type of person that I am. I genuinely think that I'm better than everyone else.
You
So
got
when I
that Homelander characteristic.
Yeah, like so when I go into a workout that I'm like I'm not going to get the best score simply because it's rowing, and one I'm you can do like I'm short, and then also like I don't get on the rower that often, and two, like, so there were so many reasons for me to try to duck out of that workout. But now going into those and going, okay, what if I really, like, I know that I probably won't get the top score in this workout, but what if I really tried to get the top score in this workout? Because
Yeah.
it's one thing to go and be like, well, it's something I have to work on, I won't get the top score. But going in and being like, I need to get the top score, like that kind of makes it more fun for me. So
Yeah.
being like competitive in class and
And
trying
going
out
in,
these things.
regardless of what it says,
Yeah.
is going to make you better. If you do the open, it could be just that rowing workout. Like you don't
Yeah.
know what it's going to be. So doing every workout, whether you like it or not, is also important.
Yeah. And part of that too is potentially doing, like we've talked about, doing like a CrossFit competition this year. Um, Mike really wants to do one with me. I don't know. We'll
Oh,
see. Um,
that's
but then my last goal after get competitive is to try things. So whether that is another CrossFit competition again, or Abby was telling me about the try this year and
oh gosh.
potentially me doing that. And I don't know if I'm there, but trying new things and just being able to feel like I could hop into anything.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I want to get back to overall as an athlete this year.
Yeah, you want to like you also you should feel like hopefully if like someone's like, "Hey, do you want to come out with a bunch of us and do this thing?" And you're like, "Oh, I can." Okay, I have general aches and pains, but I'm not like just like so specific that like I can't go hiking or I can't go play football or basketball or go for a run or these things. Uh, yeah, I think that's a great thing that more athletes should strive for. I think that's both of our goals. But if you look, I was just watching an interview with Arnold, and he was talking about all the things that they used to do. They used
Yeah.
to do every like powerlifting, weightlifting, bodybuilding, and then outside of that, they still like did sports and went to the beach and volleyball and
Yeah.
go for a run. They were just athletic people, you know. Yeah, and I don't know if that's just a thing of this everyone wants to be the best at one thing right now, but maybe that's the thing that once someone like on a really, really high level steps outside of that and starts to actually encompass the other aspects of the 100 words of fitness, like try and learn new things and whatnot. Do you think that could catapult someone ahead of everyone else and be like, I'm not going to be a CrossFit specialist because we were never supposed to be specialists in the first place?
Right. Yeah, I think so. Like it's really, yeah, it's like it's the combine where people unlock these, or you see them do these things that, oh, this doesn't necessarily come up in a CrossFit class, this lateral movement, but you see that a
Yeah.
person's great at it. And then I go, okay, this person's better than me at lateral movement. How can I work on lateral movement this next year to make sure that this doesn't happen anymore? Yeah, and then
Nikhil was so
applying
good
that
at
to,
the
yeah,
20 yard or the shuttle run.
applying that to sports, and the guys play volleyball next door. And what if one day some people from the CrossFit class just got together and we did that. Like, how would everyone do? Like, how does that grow us as athletes where we're able to, you know, a lot of people don't jump. We have like our jump roping stuff, but like a full on like max height going for something jump.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so yeah,
there's so much technique and skill. Like I know it sounds, simple and people like will poo-poo run or jumping and stuff like that. But like even when I was like researching stuff and getting back into the world of the plyometric jumps that we were doing in barbell club, you're like, wow, they take this more seriously than we do in CrossFit. Like, and like to the point where like they're like, there's no reason like, and like I get it now. I get it. I get why we're doing it. But also, if I had like my own gym and whatnot, I probably wouldn't program some of the stuff we do with the box
yeah,
ever. Because and like when you read the stuff, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. And but of course, CrossFit throws up the don't tell me what to do. I'll do what I want kind of a
yeah,
thing. But then you have people with busted up shins and ACLs, and now we have to have a rule of the games that you can't rebound. That is the rule, right?
yeah. It seems like that's where it's heading. Yeah,
Well, maybe that wouldn't have been had. I mean, when you read some of the stuff about the jumping, and if you do it right, you can get good tendon health and stuff like out of it, and that's what we were trying to do. It all makes sense. And I was like, yeah, I remember my days before CrossFit when we learned about this in the classroom. And then you drink the Kool-Aid, and next thing you know, it's been 14 years, and you're like, whoa, I need to go back outside of this bubble a little bit, to truly grasp what I'm supposed to be doing inside the bubble. Does that make sense?
right. Yeah, no, exactly. There's been this trend where every like friend group has a person and they're going around and I don't know if you've seen the Christmas game, but it's like a paper bag and everyone
Oh,
tries to go down and pick it up with their teeth. In every
oh no.
round, they like tear off more of the bag until it's like pretty flat on the floor. And seeing people's like squat techniques or their ability to like hinge and just without using their hands pick up and then stand up with it. So
Okay.
there's been things like that going around. There's also people trying to jump and land the quietest. And I see those videos and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forget that like for me, jumping and landing and not making a sound is like pretty easy."
Yeah.
But then I think about like when we do box jumps and the difference between how people land and yeah, a lot of those like jumping mechanics that if you don't jump from other sports or like you don't jump often, you don't necessarily know what that sounds or feels like.
Yeah. And it got me to start being like, you know what? Like even though it's 2020, not 2024, like 24 inches or 20 inches.
Yeah.
It sounded like the year when I was saying it the other way. Um, how that height, even though it's achievable by so many people, is so wildly inappropriate for so many people in the way that they're trying to get up on it and trying to
Yeah.
land on it. And it's like, and it's one of like these we're going on a tangent now, but that's okay. It's one of those, it's an overlooked thing that if what they were doing on the box, they were doing with a barbell, you would be like, no effing way. You're not doing
Hmm.
that today. But you allow it because it's soft and squishy and they can get to A to B instead of being like, you know what? Like it's clearly too tall. And I feel like the ego thing on the box from the athlete perspective is like it's way different than the barbell or something else. Like, okay, it's 300 pounds. This is clearly going to be too heavy, but I can get on that
Yeah.
box. And I want to get on that box 21 times. And he wants me to go down to 14 inches, down from 24. And so that it's a hard one, right? It's a tough one because every guy. Why is it? It's always the guy, Miguel. I don't know. I'm sure this. Maybe it's just because the majority of people that I'm coaching are men, because with just the population breakdown in our gym. I'm sure it's an issue with female athletes too. But man, if you want to move a guy from a 24-inch pass down a 20-inch box, oh boy, they got to really have some buy-in, right?
Yeah. I mean, you almost have to create these. barriers, right?
Yeah.
Where for me, I'm like, hey, you should be able to, and I've said this before, I'm like, you should be able to jump, straight leg, land on this box.
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to. Maybe you don't do it in the workout, but I don't want you guys barely getting on top of the box and you're completely bent over. And, it every time I watch you jump, I'm like cringing because I'm afraid that you're going to like flip over or something. Like, I
Yeah.
want people to be able to like get up, and land comfortably on the box without doing all these other things.
I want my coaching style for 2025 to be more more full on dangerous Puerto Rican, if that makes sense. I want to
Mm.
channel other aspects of my heritage where you don't know if this could be the day you get stabbed. It could not be the day you get stabbed. I that's how I want to go into these classes. What do you think about that, Miguel?
Yeah. People should, like, your word should be like, nah. And people are like, oh, okay, I'll change. Like,
Yeah, yeah. We need more dangerous coaching in a different way
yeah.
at the gym. If we're gonna go from like everything is like very chill and relaxed to like I'll cut you right now if you don't if you don't get those plates on your bar. Like we need to change that up a little bit. Just
Yeah.
the way you were saying that made me think about that. I'm like, yeah, he could be armed today or not. I don't know. So I better just do this type of deal.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, these are good goals that you have. I forget where we were at before the box detour here.
Yeah, we were just talking about trying new things and like lateral movement
Got
in different sports and stuff. So yeah. But yeah,
and the
that's the end of
combine.
my like athletic goals.
Okay. Um, I have four of them. I would like to weight train 3 times per week. You know, I think that's doable. I'd like to quasi follow along with the barbell club program. Um, just keep it really light and just progress it from there. Like we were talking about last week. Um, so I think that one's pretty easy enough to accomplish. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I want to stick same schedule, nothing crazy. Because every time I start doing this, I'm like, well, what about Tuesday? What about that
Mm.
three times a week? Like just stay on the barbell club uh, program without day four. I don't need day four. Day four doesn't
Yeah.
do anything for me. I'd like to swim at least one time per week. It is hard to get a lane right now.
Yeah. I
Um,
bet.
and plus the schedule over there has been all weird. And I just already know it's going to be a nightmare. And plus the last couple times I booked a lane, I get over there and like, oh, we tried to call you. We have a swim lesson now in your lane. And I'm like, but I booked that lane and I'm
Yeah.
here now. Like, what are we supposed to do about it? Well, you can ship. No. I booked my lane, Miguel. This is another thing where we're like cut you right now. That's my lane. So like, I don't know. I really, really hated when that happened. I really hated it. Like, had they called me and like been like, I would have just preferred to not have gone in that day. Like, had
Yeah.
they got me on the phone at home, I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'll come in tomorrow. Hey, can you book me for a spot tomorrow? So
Right.
before my thing, that would have been way better than as I'm getting in the water. Like, oh, are you James? Yes, and like, oh, we actually need this lane.
Yeah.
Oh boy, but I think at least once per week because it also sucks trying to get over there in the cold and everything like that. Like so if I can get in once a week, I'd be happy about that. And then if we can add more, cool. And then I have two others where I want to start becoming a steps person, like
Hmm.
like tracking your steps.
Yeah.
I've been looking at the Fitbits or pedometers. I want to find the simplest one. Just tell me how many steps I walked in a day. I don't need you to tell me what the phase of the moon and all these other crazy features.
You can go really old school. Do you
You
remember
can?
those like clips ones that you just clip to like your
Uh,
pants?
no.
Yeah,
What?
I remember I had like an old one. You like it resets at like, well, like you can reset it whenever, but you literally just like put it, like clip it, I think, to your pocket. And as your
Uh-huh.
leg moves, it'll count. It's not the most accurate thing, but they're probably like $1. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's not
Because
that's
yeah,
not
all these other things are like you have to wear something around your wrist and all these other things, and it comes with this, but you won't ever use that, and you got to get the app and whatever. So
bad.
yeah,
Yeah, I want to find something simple, and I was going to use like the app on the iPhone, but the thing is, the phone has to be on you for those
right,
steps to count, and it's counterproductive against another goal I have, which is less screen time.
yeah,
So
exactly,
if I have my phone on me, it's like I would just rather be just attached to my wrist. I wake up in the morning, I'll put it on, and then we go throughout our day, and like, okay, how many steps did I get? And the the first tentative goal is at least 7K a day. Because like I can walk up and down my hall here to bank out some things. Typically when I'm coaching, I think I looked on Friday, the 4 o'clock class, I had 1,700 and some change. So the more classes I'm coaching a day, those bank up quite a
yeah,
bit. So just doing some extra walking, and this I want this to be one of my daily non-negotiables. Like I want to make sure I'm walking around because what really got me thinking about this was during the heavy prep for states. Like
hmm,
when that's going down, like I'm pretty sure if I look at my phone, it'd be like you got 80 steps on this Saturday or 40 steps. Like those are like very, very so much computer heavy days where
yeah,
I want it to be where like, you know what? Before I can even get on this thing to do that stuff, I gotta be stepping.
yeah,
Like that's one of my daily non-negotiables. Uh, so far, like I want it to be on the level, some of my non-negotiables of like things that I already have so like deeply baked in that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get it done. Like the
hmm,
big one would be reading the Bible. I read the Bible every day. And some days are really busy, where like I have to read it late at night. I'll pull over on the side of the road to make sure I get it
yeah,
done before the time ticks over. So I want other things that I want to be daily non-negotiables to get on that level where it's like,
yeah,
no. Like I gotta leave the room, guys. I gotta go get this done. Like so, like I've ended calls. I've done things where it's like, no, I'm running out of time, and this must get done before the day runs out. So even during states, which this states was the craziest states, I was able to get that done because there is like it doesn't matter. I have to get this spreadsheet. No. Everything stops.
yeah,
I have to do this now. So I want to get other habits on that level. So the steps I think is a good one for times when I know I might have to sacrifice. All right, we ain't getting to the pool. We're gonna get 2 days of barbell in this week because I have to do stuff for an event or other things. This definitely get done.
yeah,
And plus, I can work on it in like chunks. Up, it's time to get up and just walk around for a bit,
yeah,
or start the day that way. So 3 times a week on the weights, whatever that may be. Swim once a week because I've already got my next swim meet booked. I've already taken steps to do that. Like before the end of the year, let's just book it. March
yeah,
29th, Saturday in Saratoga. We'll get.
nice,
So I need to be getting in the pool at least a little bit, and I will not kill myself on this one. We're gonna do like maybe 2 events this time.
yeah,
Especially now that there's no medals, there's no nothing, and it's come and go. You come, you do your race, and you go home because there's like 15 other races. It's actually a really chilled version of like what I'm used to. So
yeah,
I'm fine with that. Um, and then Core 365. I took the Power Monkey gymnastics and weightlifting course way a while ago, and ever since I've gotten it's a free app.
hmm,
Um, well, no, the app is free. The 365 program I paid for back then,
yeah,
but you get access to it for life.
hmm,
So I kind of now it is free. But every day they post a core workout. Like today's is 20 arch ups, which is a Superman raise, and every minute on the minute you have to do 10 pike ups. So you kind of support yourself and you lift your leg up and down like that,
yeah,
and it changes every day. Some of them might have flexibility. Some of them, they're all very, very short. So I would like to kind of like do that every day. And like I've never done the full 365. So like January 1st, I do the little core. Like that's kind of like my carrot. Like I would really like to get all 365 days,
yeah,
And I was looking at the last year. I'm like, I don't see a situation in the last year where I wouldn't be able to do this anywhere that I'm at, hotel room or anything, because there's no equipment, and I wouldn't have the time for this length of a workout, you know.
Yeah.
So that is my goal.
Nice.
Oh boy, I'll be pissed if I'm like on like 257 or something, you know, and like something. But I don't see a reason. I don't see a scenario traveling to the Arnold, anything where I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
So that's like my way of setting that goal up for success. I'm like looking at the last year, and I'm like, there would have not been a day that I could not have stopped whatever, or at some point in the bookends have gotten this done.
Yeah. Nice.
Do you have any goals like that, where it's like you're gonna try to
I
keep them going?
have, so like I've been doing Duolingo for like years now, but the
Uh-huh.
past like couple years I've been like on a streak. Um, and they have like, because they keep track, so they want to keep you doing it. So they have this thing called like a streak freeze. So if
Uh-huh.
you miss a day and you do it the next day, they'll be like, oh, okay, we won't take away your streak. We'll just, that day that you missed, now that's today.
Okay.
Um, so like you get a couple of those throughout the time, but this past 2024, I haven't missed a single day. Like I haven't
Okay.
had to use that at all. And again, yeah, through like traveling and whatever, I literally, the first language I speak most days is Spanish. Not that it's like a lot or anything, but the lessons are literally like 2 minutes.
Uh-huh.
So it's very easy for me to just get up and immediately do that. And like you said, yeah, there was no day this past year where I'm like day was too busy. I couldn't figure it out. So like if I don't do it straight out of bed or like as I'm about to go brush my teeth, then I find time throughout the day to do it. So yeah.
Yeah. That I think it's great to have little habits and stuff like that. Because even when everything else is too chaotic, you at least have that like one thing,
Yeah.
you know, that is consistent. You know, like for me, it's just reading the Bible. In the Bible app, it tracks your streak. And, you know, I recently got to 1,000 back in the fall, like 1,000 days in a row.
Yeah.
But there was one day where it didn't record. And it brought me from like not a 997 or 98 back down to zero, and I lost my mind. uh, I was like, what in the world happened, Miguel? Like, oh, so that is the downside. They fixed it,
Yeah.
but oh boy, if they didn't fix it, I don't know how. Like I want to make sure, like on some of these things, it's not just the number, it's the actual act and
Yeah.
doing it. But you do start to obsess a little bit about the number, especially when you're like, I really can't wait to see it tick to 1,000, you
Yeah.
know, or something like that. And like then you're like, wow, I have been working on this for a while, and you think about those and then all of a sudden it says zero, and you're like, wait, that it's kind of like I imagine what some people might go through when like they have a lot of money, and then you see it in the movies, but I'm sure it happens in life, and then all of a sudden you see your bank account says zero. Like I experienced like the miniest version of that, you know,
Yeah.
where like, okay, it would have been a bummer if it couldn't be fixed, but I still would have kept on doing it. I can't imagine if you're like, I don't know, what's a devastating amount of money to all of a sudden see go down to zero in your bank account.
Yeah, I don't know. Like some investment stuff, like it's got to be like hundreds of thousands where you're
Yeah,
like, wow, things have been good. They're trending really well. And then, like, you know,
boom. Yeah, and you hear the stories about that movie, The Beekeeper. Did you see that movie, The
oh, yeah,
Beekeeper?
you told me about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That happens in the movie where they're like scamming people, and they scam the one lady, and then she ends her life and stuff like that. But like when I saw the amount of money, I'm like, that still wouldn't get me to check out of this check out of this game, you know, especially if I know Jason Statham's my friend, you know. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I don't know. I do understand it now. It was a great lesson. Maybe it was a lesson from above. I'm like, let's see how he reacts to this and whatnot.
Yeah.
Not well, not well. So I definitely understand how people have much more extreme reactions to seeing something go from a big number to a little number or a
Yeah.
zero. There's something about a zero too. There's something
Hmm.
about seeing a zero versus the number that you were expecting, especially to be so close to have like it just like something happen where it like
Yeah.
wipes out all your stuff. Because if that would have happened on like 700 and something, I would have been, oh, all right, well, let's fix it. But to be at 997 or 98, that's a little different.
Yeah.
That feels personal. No, I'm kidding. Um, so yeah, those would be my athletic goals: 7K steps, stepping every day and tracking it. Do the little ab workout, and then do those bigger workouts in those allotments. Um, and then maybe when the season dies down, I can get in a pool more often.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are yours. Those are mine. What about personal goals that aren't? I
Yeah.
mean, see, the thing is with this, of course, it's gonna all roads lead back to what we do to some
Yeah.
extent. But like, I tried to find things or have things that like they maybe wouldn't even help at all. So what are yours?
So my number one, I think this is my number one goal overall, is write it down. And I have it with an exclamation point.
Oh, all right. That's how
Just
you know it's serious.
because one, we've talked about it in terms of like coaching as well, where I feel so much more secure writing things down physically. Like I'm a big physical media person as well. Like I need to write it. I can't type it. I need to write it down,
Yeah.
and it's in my brain. I don't even need to look at it again if I've written it down in like pen or mechanical pencil, whatever. Um, Also, I feel like I've just been doing so much more things this past year that I need to have a concrete like schedule, and again writing things down so that I remember them. Um, and writing
Is your
things down
writing
again,
down more of like appointments or stuff, or the
that
things that you
too.
plan to do? Okay.
Right. So appointments, because again I'm doing so much more, so I need to like keep track. And two, things like goals, I've always like had them in my head or even put them in like my notes app, but writing
Mhm.
them down on paper because now they're real.
Yeah.
So once it's written down, it's written down. Like you can't delete. Like I can
No.
rip out the page, of course, but um and again like writing it down also like symbolically of, this is my schedule. This is what I do, and I can't just do other things. Like my friends have known for years that I'm like Monday, Wednesday, Friday at this time I am at the gym. You've known it
Yeah.
for years. It hasn't changed in years. We will figure out a hangout around these times unless it's like something really important. Then
Yeah.
of course like birthday dinners, all that stuff, I can do that.
Or they could come to Barbell Club,
That
lift some
too.
weights. Hey, always an
So there's
option.
that. And then I have like Tuesday and Thursday things that I do now as well, where I'm like, yeah, these are also set things. This is what my schedule is. So I need to like have respect for them and like have it written, have it like set in stone. Um, so that's the biggest one for me.
That's a good
Um,
one.
my next one is to quote unquote live in spaces, or like to like leave a personal mark of something. I'm very
Mhm.
like, all my spaces are very minimal. People say like my apartment is like it's like an apartment that you'd show to somebody potentially moving in. Like there's no personal markers. It's like a show house that you would if you were like a
Okay.
realtor, where it's
Yep.
like it looks like
No
someone
trinkets.
could, yeah, like it looks like someone could live here, but there's no personal markings. And I've always been very like, I'm ready to pack up and go whenever, which is good. But like now that I'm like, all right, I want to see my own personality in these spots.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm supposed to be moving when my lease is up in April. So in this new place, that's my big goal, to like, don't wait until I get like quote unquote settled, like really get some furniture, get some art pieces, whatever, on the walls that like show that, oh, Miguel lives here.
Yeah. Get like a
Uh,
nice interstellar poster or
yeah,
like
yeah,
movies, books, things like that, which I see you have some books behind you. Um, yeah, I think that's a great thing. I've
Hmm.
I've been trying to like whittle away some of that because like you start to accumulate so many things. And I also have in my family the illness of hoarding, and
Yeah.
I can be persuaded that way very, very easily. So I try just to whittle it down to what are the most meaningful effects that or things that I have. Like
Right.
this poster here, like I love this poster. Like if
Hmm.
I was going to get rid of all the other posters or paintings on my wall, and you can have one, I would have this one.
Yeah.
So it's like so I make sure that if I put it up or have it out, these are the things that are most meaningful. I'm not keeping them because I want to keep stuff. You
Right.
know, like is it just stuff or does it actually mean something to me? Like
Exactly.
did someone give it to me or did I buy it? I prefer to keep things that people gave to me versus like, all right, I bought that thing because I thought it was cool in the store randomly that one day.
Yeah.
Are you aiming for like so that you're aiming for that more meaningful effect of like there's also a story and something attached to this
Yeah.
item.
Like there has to be a reason that it's there. Like, because I really, I'm not that person of like putting stuff up at all.
Hmm.
So I want each piece to be like, yeah, I can see why Miguel has that up. Or if they ask about it, there's a reason because I'm like, oh yeah, that's from this movie that I love, or oh, this is something from me and my friends took this trip, or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Like when I left the movies on Christmas Day, I was like, well, let me go see about that Nosferatu metal tin thing,
Yeah, I
and
I
then I
I thought the same thing.
you did, yeah,
And I was like,
and
you don't need it.
I I probably had the same conversation. I picked it up, and my first thought was like, "Ooh, this is way bigger than I thought it would be." Like, had it been smaller, that might have skewed
Hmm.
me another way. But then I was thinking, I'm like, "What are you going to put in it?" And I don't have anything to put in it. And then I have spots I could put it, but it's so big and bulky and just empty. It's just metal, and I'm like, "Is this? You love the movie right now?" But is this in your top five? Is it in your
Yeah,
top 10? And I'm like, no, nowhere near close. You don't need this. Put it down, James. Like,
right.
go home.
Yeah.
And you're gonna spend how much money on this? You already got in. Like, I didn't buy any candy when I went because I was thinking to myself, I'm like, it doesn't taste good. Like,
Hmm.
like it doesn't even taste good. Like when you eat clean, that's the thing. Every time you eat clean, you start to wipe away some of that stuff
Yeah.
and it's like you're just eating because this is what people do in the movies and you need something to occupy yourself like let's just enjoy the movie. I'm like I'm not going to buy any stuff. I'm not going to buy any stuff. Plus I already
Yeah.
have all these cookies and other stuff that people have been giving me at home and I don't want to go through the trouble of smuggling that in. That's just a pain in
Hmm.
the butt. And then you got cookies at home. You're only gone for 2 hours. You ate a cookie this morning. So
Yeah.
just don't have any of it. Go watch the movie, take the full movie in, no distractions, go home, have more cookies. And that's exactly what I did. So I think that's yes. I'm happy that someone else struggled with the Nosferatu tin though. It
Yeah.
wasn't just
I
me.
think it was, I went in and I was fine. And then I saw people like during the previews and stuff getting up and then coming back with them. And I was
They
like,
did?
yeah, there
Oh,
were like a couple people that I saw that I was like, oh, yeah, I could get one of those. But I was like, no, especially because of the idea that I'm moving in a couple months. I'm like, you 100% can't add new junk
yeah.
to this place. And I'm like, okay, cool. No, I'm good with not getting it at all.
If anything, when you're moving, that's going to be a potential
The
time of
first thing
purging.
out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It was a popcorn tin.
I believe so. I don't think anyone that I saw had the popcorn actually in it.
Okay, good.
Um, but yeah,
I would not have wanted to eat popcorn out of it that moment and have it all be oily and greasy. And
yeah,
also, are we washing it first before we put the popcorn in it?
yeah,
Because that's a problem for me too. It's like when you see when the alien head went, like, did they wash that or did it just get right out of the plastic with all of its
right.
rubber plastic poison residue all over your popcorn now? Yeah, yeah, I have been tempted a couple times because they keep doing this, but they keep making them big and overblown, and I'm like, I don't want that alien skull in here.
Yeah,
Like, I don't need that. Like, we need to walk the fine balance too of having an adult apartment and a potential like grown adult teenager apartment. Like
Hmm.
this is fine art. Like
Yeah.
this is for me, but like we could definitely go down a different path that we don't need to. So
Yeah.
okay, cool. What are the other personal goals?
Um, these ones are more like continue from this past year. So take more pictures in videos. I think I've been doing that more. I got like a point and shoot like film camera that I
Mhm.
finally used up all the film for, so I have to get that developed. But that's been making me like a little bit more intentional with like taking the pictures.
Yeah.
So doing that, I wrote "Do it while you can." So that's just kind of like taking trips and going to concerts. Like there are all these artists that I loved that I wasn't going to go see, and then the time would pass and I would go, oh yeah, I could have seen them, but I just
Yeah.
decided not to, or I thought like another opportunity will arise, and
Yeah.
then maybe they don't. So while I'm like in the situation that I'm in where I'm like, all right, I'm not like tied to anything, I don't have kids, I have a good job, I don't have too many expenses, if I can just buy tickets to a concert or like go somewhere,
Go
I'm
do
gonna
it.
just
Yeah.
do it. The next one is recipes. I have a good hold on the basics now of cooking for like a good amount of years now. But now I feel like really confident. So, like expanding recipes. I know how to cook the basics. Now I want to make something specific. I already know how to like braise and do all this and that. So now
Mhm.
put it to use specifically in other things. Um, and then the last one is more movies. I think I've seen like 50 movies in theaters this year.
Nice.
It's like high 40s or straight at 50. So I think I want to get more this next year and like expand those movies where it's like just not the commercial ones, but like the smaller director, more foreign films too. In this next year.
Do you do you keep track or do you rate them on Letterbox or anything like that?
Um, I started to more this year. So I
Okay.
think like probably April, every time I go to the theater, I'll add something in. Um, and sometimes when I like watch something for the first time just at home, I'll add it in. But yeah,
Yeah.
again, this year I'm going to try to be more like diligent with that stuff.
I got into it this year. Sarah Soto got me into the app, and I started rating. It's funny, like you start to go through and like, oh yeah, I've seen that, I've seen that, I've seen that. So
Right.
like a lot of my ratings aren't the most intentional. It's more of like just like I'll give it a two or like, but I have like my upper echelon, like my favorites, and then I only have one that is like the favorite. It gets the
Hmm.
star. That's like my favorite movie. So that's the only one that could get that. But then you get like four like big ones that
Yeah.
you can put
You get
there.
your top four. Yeah.
Yeah. So like my favorite's in the top four, but it's the only one of those that gets the gold star or whatever it is to
Hmm.
separate it from all of them. And when I got out of Nosferatu, I was like four. But then I was thinking about, I'm like, well, that's initial reaction. You've only seen it once, I'm sure it's gonna have a good rewatchability. But also it's like, am I going to put it that close to the thing? Like, does it
Hmm.
like my favorite movie? Does it deserve to be that close, or any of the others? And I'm like, no, it's got to go down to 3.5. So I did change that one. I don't. The app I have for Regal doesn't tell me what movies I've seen this year. I saw quite a few this year.
Um. Oh, if you don't have unlimited, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. I have the Crown
Because
Rewards app.
yeah, it's very difficult to find it in there. I think when they send me like my monthly summary, they do like, here's how many you saw for the month, here's how many you have for the year. And then I think there's a way to like within that go deep in and see the ones that you've seen for the year. But yeah, it usually goes back like a week. And they're like, here's the ones that you saw this week. But yeah, that's really
Okay.
it.
Did you do the so wait, you have the one where you pay once for the year and you can go to as many movies as you want?
I think I pay monthly, but yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So you can go every month, just go see all the movies if you want.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to go that often, it pays for itself already
Well,
because you're
yeah.
not
I
going to
mean,
spend.
December, was it this month that I saw Interstellar?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I saw something else before that. I saw Interstellar, which though it was IMAX, I think I only paid like the upcharge for IMAX, so like $6. Um, then I saw another movie in theaters. Then Christmas Day, I saw two movies on the same day. So it's like, yeah, the $23 that I paid for the month of December was
Well worth
easily
it.
covered. Yeah. Yeah.
I might need to look into that. I know when they first rolled it out, it was just before the pandemic. There were little
Yeah.
brochures and everything, and
Yeah.
then that happened. So maybe now it's time to get back into that because I would like to keep track or have like a summary of the year or something like that. And I did go to the movies, especially over the summer, a lot. I think more this year than in previous years
Yeah.
because the movies weren't that great or things like that. So I'm definitely back into the movie game. Back into
Yeah.
the movie game. So I might have to look into that. Let's see. Personal goals. I just got three of them written down. They kind of like tie into other things. Less screen time. So I would like to on December 31st delete Instagram, but um, I want to schedule it. Like, all right, every Sunday I'll download it, share all the stories, delete it again, or do whatever I need to do, delete it again. You can post off your desktop. So
Yep.
I would like to have most of my desktop or posting be done through the desktop, and you can schedule them and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, just get rid of that app. Like I've wanted to for a while, and Facebook I've largely phased out this year by
Hmm.
not having the app on my phone. I only have it on my computer, so I can like do some things on it that way, but I don't really check it on my phone, and it doesn't affect me in any way.
Yeah.
And there was a few weeks or a week or two where I deleted both of them, and I felt like my productivity was way better.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't. That's the summary I don't want to look at. How
Yeah.
much time spent on Instagram? Holy crap! It's probably really, really bad.
Yeah.
Um, because you're just on it all the time. Even while I'm just here watching Ozark, I have Instagram open too.
Hmm.
One, the show is so freaking boring. I'm just suffering through it. But yeah, I would like to get rid of that. Like I remember, and that's also with the steps thing. Not using my phone for the steps. I want to go back to a point where even if I leave the room, I don't have to take this with me, or I'm compelled to, or it's
Yeah.
it's reactionary. You just like, well, let me pick up my phone and go over there. So I just want to be tied to it much less. Recreational reading. I think I've mentioned that here on the show before. I would like to like I would like to have my set time of like we're going to read the Bible in the morning unless it needs to be moved because of I'm traveling or XYZ, and then in the evening recreational reading where like I'll have like a physical book, and it has nothing to do with weightlifting or CrossFit or anything. It's just like we're going to read the Lord of the Rings. We're going to
Yep.
read. Actually, I've been looking into Dracula because I was like, you know what,
Hmm.
I'm intrigued now. I've never read the original Dracula story.
Yeah.
I've only heard about it, and spoilers for Nosferatu. I know people were upset about the way he looked, Orlok looked, because he didn't look the way he looked in the original one. Which
Hmm.
remember, the original movie is just a ripoff of Dracula to begin
Yeah.
with. That's why he looks like that. So they didn't get sued. And in this, he brought the facial hair back,
Hmm.
and apparently in the book, that's how Dracula is described.
Yeah, because it's very, and people are saying like it's very Victorian era. Like that is how that person would look because he is just a
A
person from
Hungarian
that
lord.
region. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Well,
yeah,
Transylvanian lord.
yeah,
And all the noblemen, like you would not have been a nobleman, rich nobleman back then without a mustache.
right.
It just you would not have been. So it makes sense, even though when they made the Keanu Reeves, Gary Oldman, Stoker's Dracula, he doesn't have it when he's in the castle, but when he's his youthful form, he has this long flowing hair, and facial hair and
Yeah.
whatnot. And I never thought about it that way before. It's like, yeah, that when you look at the old like 1930s Bela Lugosi Dracula, they didn't give him facial hair,
Yeah.
but that Dracula kind of works on his own. But
Hmm.
that's not how he's supposed to look. And I was like, all right, well, I read the description from the book of what Dracula's supposed to look like, and then it got me thinking I should just read this book to
Yeah.
like know what the original story was gonna supposed to be. So that's kind of on my list. I've read Frankenstein before because
Hmm.
they make you read it in high school, or at
Yeah.
least they made us. Did they make you read it too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I don't think I'd dive into that one anytime again soon.
Yeah.
You're traumatized by the fact you had to read it and then write about papers and stuff
Hmm.
on it too. You kind of ruined it for me a little bit.
Yeah.
But Dracula's not ruined. And I was like, wow, I didn't even think about it. I'm like, I've never read that story before. And so I would like to go through and read like a lot of like classic stories like that I've either never read because they never popped up in school and I didn't do it recreationally. I'll do it recreationally now, you know. So Dracula's on the list. I would like to read, or most likely reread, Moby Dick. I think I have read that one before. I would like to read that one again. For some reason, I'm drawn to that one. The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. I'd like to read those. Um, one again and one for the first time. So yeah, so recreational reading, which helps with less screen time. You
Yeah.
know, like I'd like that to be the new. All right, we're in bed, read, go to sleep. I feel like it would help me fall asleep actually, versus like, well, let me scroll through and see all this stuff and like, all right, all the literally just scrolling through stupidity. That's the only way I can like
Yeah.
describe it at this point on what the algorithm thinks I want to see now, and then I keep feeding this monster. It's like, no, I'm gonna starve it and let it die. And then my final goal here, personal one. This is like I would say all of these are like big ones. Like of course the coaching ones are just professional big goals because like this is what I do. So just like sharpening the knife on that.
Right.
The other ones are like health related goals, which those are big, but like my big one would be to finish the School of Success book, which is the book that I'm helping and been working on for many years with Charlie Samora of one of the founders of Caffeine and Kilos. He's no longer, I think, a part of it, but I would like to finish that and get that done. It's like
Yeah.
it's been we started that in 2016, but that's also when I started Glenn Penley's book. So there's kind of like a one of them kind of took over a little more, and I wasn't in a position to do two of them, part time. So I got to get back to this one, and it is an interesting book. We have interviews from Ben Smith, Kendrick Ferris, a lot of people from the CrossFit and weightlifting space and coaching space on like asking them questions. How do you set and achieve goals? How do you
Yeah.
define success? How do you want to be remembered? So things like that. It's that type of a book with a lot of his stories and how he knows these people. So I would like to finish that. That's so like dedicating time each day to get that done. Like I'm already like kind of like mapping out the day. I'm like, all right, we get up, we do this, we do that, we do all these things. We make the coffee, we spend a little bit of time on that, and now we're off to the races on the
Yeah.
rest of the day. So that's kind of like my if I was going to have an exclamation point one, it's that's like my big 2025 goal. Like my 2024 goals were all coaching related on like doing these events, the national ref, preparing for the level 4, doing the level 4. And even though we didn't pass that, it's still the type of deal like, well, how many kilos did you add throughout the rest of the year
Right.
type of a situation now. And I'm still on the hunt, but they don't even have a calendar for that. So like, it's not
Hmm.
even I would actually like them not to put a calendar for it because
Yeah.
then it's like, it's not even on my mind. We'll just keep getting better. But that's my big one, finishing that book for sure.
Yeah.
It's in a lot of scattered pieces at this point in
Mm.
time. So I just need to like put them together. So yeah, I think 2025 is going to be another good year.
Yeah. I think so.
I think in many ways, potentially for both of us, a more laid back year on a lot of things. But just because you have a laid back year doesn't mean you're not making, as we've shown, steps towards progress in
Right.
one thing
Exactly.
or multiple things. It just doesn't have to be as crazy as some other years were, So I think we both have some good goals, some good plans, and now we'll see a year from now how far we got,
Yeah.
or where they are. The thing is too, goals should be evolving. I think. I don't know. What do you think? I think they should
Yeah.
evolve,
I think
even
that's
in
what I've been saying with like the quarterly goals as well. Of like, yeah, eat whatever timeline you want to give it. Like, hey, has this been working for me? Yes or no. If it does, then it's fairly easy to continue with things once you're already doing them. But if it's not
yeah,
serving you, to just, yeah, switch it or drop it.
yeah. Like my goal is to finish that book. But in it, going for the goal, it might just push it to the point where, like, all right, we're in post production in the next year, and
Yeah.
it's coming out early next year. But like, I'll make the effort to finish it now, and maybe we put it out in the fall. But I do think either one could happen. But it's just because you don't achieve it in the time frame that you wanted, that doesn't mean you're going to throw it out. You just push it along, and it forces you to make progress on it,
Yeah.
or make steps towards it. I think sometimes people get caught in the weeds on like, well, I didn't do it, that means it's never going to happen. Or like we were talking about before, it wasn't the number I wanted, so everything else was a failure. It's like, no, no, no. Most of these goals just involve putting in the work to get to the goals. And if you did do that, you will be better than if you were not doing any of it.
Yeah.
I mean, look at some of your goals on, you know, let's say if you didn't make your living space more meaningful and stuff like that, will you just be in another showroom apartment that
Yeah.
you're not happy with, but you didn't put any effort into it.
Hmm.
But you also can't obsess about like, I need the most perfect thing to go on this
Yeah.
wall right now, because goals can spark obsession for sure, and that can lead you down a whole another path where nothing's ever good enough.
Yeah.
Now the snatching 99 isn't good enough because it wasn't 110, but your PR before that, the journey was 70.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, but cool. Awesome. Well, any other closing thoughts on the goals that you're going to be pursuing or anything like that?
Yeah. I think what you said is pretty much it. Just any progress is better than no progress. So do check in with yourself, do what, fits and makes you feel good. And then that will show you your path.
Yeah. And it's okay to eventually, I guess, eventually ditch a goal. I had a lot of things written down where I'm like, these aren't goals. These are tasks that you hope to accomplish.
Yeah.
Do you have any
Yeah.
of those?
Yeah. I don't think I wrote any of those. Probably why I didn't write any of them down. But yeah, definitely some things of like, this needs to happen this year. But I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like one of mine was like house plants. That I
Hmm.
mean, it's a goal, but it's also like I need to buy new dishes or something like that. Like
Yeah.
that's not a goal. Like the reading one, that's a more tangible, bigger reason, bigger picture goal that helps with a lot of things outside of like, all right, I'm going to buy a plant and it's going to sit in that spot over there. I'm going to water it once a week, and like I accomplished that a goal. That doesn't, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it was on the list, but I'm like, that's not something real. Like buying a plant once and putting it on a shelf and maintaining it and not letting it die. It doesn't like feed into anything else that I've written down.
Hmm.
Not that they have to. So that'd be one example of like, you know, of course, I want to buy a Fitbit, but that's a different deal of what I'm trying to
Yeah.
accomplish there. So, yeah, it's good to think about these things. Good to reflect upon them. Cool. Well, Miguel, the next time we speak, it will be in 2025. Look at that.
Yeah.
Right now, this is our past selves. Right now. Do you, do you have a message for for future Miguel looking back on past Miguel, 2024 Miguel to 2025 Miguel?
um, Keep doing what you're doing. We're pretty cool guys. So keep it up.
Cool. I like that. I like that. I guess mine will be don't fuck it up. And don't and don't overthink it. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Just be cool. Be cool. Awesome. All right. Well, where can people follow you, Miguel?
Can it be Miguel on Instagram?
Can be Miguel. Follow me, James A. McDermott. Follow the Barbell Strikes Back on Instagram, even though there's not a whole lot of new stuff there. Follow Albany CrossFit, Albany CrossFit Barbell Club. We will see you all in 2025.